what do we do? How do we notify them? How do we give time to ourselves without being selfish? But really, we need to be the best us for everybody else. And then if we do another one, or next week when we're talking real trauma.
Yeah.
Like, people actually go through things that are traumatic. And you know what guys do? Every time I talk to them, they're
bury
like,
it down.
They even do this. They're like, I would like that.
Bury it down.
Yeah, I know I was beat up as a kid by my dad, but I like put it down here. And so every once in a while something happens and I just freak out. Like, and so you've got to feel those emotions to get free of them. You've got to talk to people that are safe, but then I want to talk about counselors. Like, they're there for a reason.
Right.
And so those are two different topics, but really it's
well, like removing the stigma on going to counseling and like admitting you need help, because there are professional listeners out there.
You know what works really well? Not listening to the world, because it sucks. But counselors for broken people, yeah, we're going to spend money on every area of our life, but knowing ourselves better and understanding our emotions. That sounds safe.
We're just
real good time.
We're just waiting for everybody to rejoin the lives. Everybody was on, and then Kellen offended everybody by getting mad about the nightly beer intake. So,
you know, I just offended everybody because Kevin showed up.
Well, you think about this. You know, you make a point. You're kind of joking, but you're not joking at all. I think what you're trying to say is that life is so weird that your escape is home. And then you've got to start cracking your beers open, whether it's one because you're, super disciplined, or it's 4 or 5 because you're completely trying to check out. It can be other things too. But what you're saying is it's like this aid to get you through life or whatever it is, but it's not the right thing. Yeah, it's a massive traumatic substitute.
One, it's a substitute for really getting filled up and rested. And so you still run on burnout. It can be binge watching Netflix because you want to just turn life off.
Hey, don't come for us. Don't come for us.
Come for Bryan.
Did you see that ad, Thad? Jim Carrey and Tow Booth Willie, Adam Sandler are teaming up together. It comes out.
Has he ever snapped?
I'm trying to think like.
Or is it like a daily thing?
He's like calibrating. He's calibrating his brain.
Did you not see it?
No.
Soon they got them together. It's called Buds. You know that thing's going to be funny. Adam Sandler. Jim Carrey's one of the original legitimate actors that can do comedy. You know what I mean? So talented. He can do anything. You read about him, a lot of that stuff he
did.
A
lot of the voiceovers.
It was on the cuff.
And it was like crazy. Like The Mask is like one of the craziest movies because of the voiceovers he was able to
like
do
off the cuff
on himself. Like,
well, you guys are talking about two people too that recently like live below their means. They've reflected a lot, and they're different now than they were 20 years ago. Like, they actually talk about deep, meaningful stuff.
Sandler talks a lot about
why,
because everyone's like, "Why are you so weird?" And he's like, "I'm actually just normal. Is it not the other people that are weird? Why am I weird?" And I thought that was funny when he had that conversation because he's wearing a pair of basketball shorts, which, to be fair, no one should wear. And like
he just wears basketball shorts and like a polo and goes to the park and like goes hoops with his friends
with a hat on.
Like, it's like I can do whatever I want. I'm Adam Sandler.
And like what's crazy is like they say he's a good basketball player too. Like, and he just like rolls out there and he's like basketball shorts to like the 03 like basketball shorts
the
like
long ones with stripes on them.
Yes. And then like he's in like a polo and he's like, whatever, man, we're just here, like we're just gonna play. I'm like,
I've always
he's definitely lived below his means, and he's definitely like prioritized his family a lot, and he's come out a lot in the last few years and said like,
what's crazy about
I don't take these roles for this.
What I love about watching someone for a long period of time is it's an interesting thing to watch this because we would have been 20 to 22 or 23 years ago when Adam Sandler kind of hit the scene real hard and was doing Lunch Lady songs. I don't know if you guys heard like his original CD, Tow Booth Willie.
No, I've heard the Christmas song.
Lord.
The Hanukkah song.
Yeah,
Dude,
I don't
heard Tow Booth
binge
Willie?
listen or binge watch anything like
I do.
That's $1.25, Pop.
Because my dad was like, he loved Saturday Night Live, so he was like, "Here's all the comedians that have been on Saturday Night Live" when I was younger. So that's how I know it. But
Tow Booth
I mean,
Willie.
you got to think like the Waterboy came out before Aiden was born.
It's nuts.
Like that was
Or
98.
Billy Madison, or
Yeah, like all those like Adam Sandler classics like came out like
soft,
late
inappropriate
90s, late
behavior.
90s, early 2000s.
Toe Booth Willie, though, I'm challenging you guys. If you can listen to the thing, probably 3 minutes,
Is this where he went when I called him out on binge watching Netflix? He's just like
and not
took the usual-
smile,
Yeah,
though.
Toe Booth Willie.
Don't smile, I dare you. You'll win something. So we're talking about these guys who they've gone through different life situations, and it's applicable because of being able to watch like some of the results. And that was kind of my point: is you watch someone for 22 or 23 years. What I was going to say is most people's moms and dads weren't really going to be excited if you pushed in the old Adam Sandler Toe Booth Willie CD. It's going to have a giant amount of cuss words on it. He's going to be talking about some nonsense, which in today's world,
Canceled.
actually, I'm going to choose that over Tic Tac, for these kids. I mean, and that's pretty bad, right? If you're going to give them
Tic Tac on the screen right over here.
I don't want to get copyrighted or anything. And so, but I would rather Legend listen to Toe Booth Willie, honestly, than to be watching the TikTok. And that's saying something. Well, now you go fast forward on like Adam Sandler was not in households. It was more of a like for us being weird. He's a household person now. If he throws a movie down, almost everybody's going to feel okay making that a family movie situation. And you just watching the trajectory of his life and how that's gone. Now, some of his, I don't claim that Adam Sandler's some, pastor and he's trying to help people get saved or anything, but I think he's become way more aware of what he's doing, and something in his life has changed to where it's gone a different direction. He's got a couple, you'll know the movies, Thad. What's that movie he does with his buddies, Kevin James and them?
Grown Ups.
Grown Ups.
Grown Ups is a great movie.
Grown Ups is cool. They're going to throw in a little inappropriate darts in that flick. But those guys are those guys. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but we're talking about stand-up comedian dudes. But the way they've kind of cleaned the scene up from what they used to do, I think is cool.
They've grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
And they've also done reflective work. And we were talking about mental health, Men's Mental Health Month and other months or whatever. But really, there's a crisis and there's a spike in suicide rates. And when you talk about Jim Carrey and throughout Adam Sandler, I was like, I've seen that both of those guys have reflected and done some deep work. And they've also hit mountaintops. And you and I talked about this a while back. Like some of the stuff, if you seek the wrong thing and get it, it sucks because there's no life in it, right? And so they're really living towards substance now versus chasing things and toxic activity.
Well, and they have had a lot of success by the world's measure.
Oh, for sure.
Tons. Dude, Adam Sandler can make a movie, put anybody in it he feels like, and everybody watches it.
And he's the one, he can pay for the movie. But he doesn't have to pay for the movie because the house is always willing to stand on his work. They know they're going to get their money back. They'll fund the deal. I just think it's cool because he's in our lifetime. And it went from one area of my life to where like, hey, I probably can't listen to this, to like, I got no problem with Adam Sandler.
I mean, he's
movie.
been a mainstream like figure since he was, since 1990.
Forever.
Like 35 years.
Yeah, the dude's got to be a couple years older than me. When he hit Toe Booth Willie, I don't even know if he had his driver's license. I don't know if he did.
He was born in
tell us,
66.
He's older than I thought.
Born
Dude,
66.
I'm 79, so that what's 13 years older than
30 years
me?
older than you. Yeah. He'd be 60 soon.
That dude's almost 60. Those basketball shorts just got weirder.
Got longer.
I don't know if they're weirder than like what the kids wear now to play basketball. They're closer to like swim trunks than they are.
Talk to
basketball
Aiden
shorts.
about that, dude.
It's
Talk
weird.
to Aiden about
Aiden
that.
loves a good like
These
3-inch
guys-
inseam.
I know. I'm like, hey, do you want some of these old shorts I don't wear? They were all like $1 jillion. He goes, no, they're too long. And I'm like,
Are you talking about the ones
you can
that,
see your
that we
balls
wear?
hanging out of the side of them, bro.
You talking about the ones that we like wear that
The
are like
Chubs.
5 or 6 inches on the inseam?
Me and
nice,
you are
they're
rolling
good.
5 or 6.
Yeah, normal
Aiden's
is-
doing 3.
Yeah,
I swear. You can see like
They're weird.
the
Too much.
balls.
You can see
They're
too
back
much.
to like,
You
and
can
Aiden doesn't have a mustache to pull that off.
all he
I
needs
mean,
is a little
What
polo
old Tom
to tuck
Selleck used
in.
to wear.
Dude, I wear those ones to the gym, and they're already. I think they're already pretty short. Those suckers are like board shorts compared to Aiden's stuff. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Adam Sandler is 58 years old.
Yeah,
he will be 59
Good job.
this year.
Yeah, I know,
Good
back
job,
around.
Adam.
So it
Of
has
all
to do with
guys to
mental
still-
health, how?
Yeah,
Healthy
well, I mean,
habits.
of all things, for a guy to live the life he's lived and still look like he's about 40, good for him.
He hadn't aged in 15
Ever-
years at
all that
least.
basketball.
And the Paul Rudd. They don't age.
Yeah, those guys are hilarious. So
Denzel doesn't age either, but
We're-
that's another story.
we're talking about men's mental health, and I said this to you earlier in an audio, Kellen, because you have a tremendous amount of more experience on the subject than I would or than Thad would. Your wife has experience on it, and so I did a video earlier this week because I wanted to at least acknowledge the month, and acknowledge the topic, because a lot of people want to stay on the sidelines, right? It's not my business. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to share a video. I look at that like, okay, I mean, that's not how I see it. I believe it's all of our responsibility to step into the game and to help in any way, shape, or form that we can, whether you're talking about politics, your community, an awareness month. I think that it's applicable for us to get engaged, because what if he hears it? What if that one guy hears it? And the angle I took was on lust. One, because I'm not afraid to talk about how we struggle with it.
Yeah. It's
Every guy
10
I
guys
know,
out of
man.
10 guys in a circle if you bring them together.
And you were, when you were talking earlier about mental health awareness for men, it's like this. I picture like a pizza graph, like one of those things to where it's like segments and it's different topics. Mental health for men isn't just this splat. It's ingredients and symptoms from other things coming, traumas and reactions and different things that have happened in your life that are contributing to it. And so the topic that I went with was lust, because lust is an attack from the enemy that definitely latches on, that can affect the whole man. And when the whole man is affected negatively, his mental health is going to struggle.
Sure.
And so what I wanted to go with on it is I talk about, one, we want to be a resource for guys. We want to talk about, and I kind of shared in short, I mean, stories, you can only get a minute on that. So it's a minute hit and then a couple of topics. But when I started talking about things to put in place, I think this applies in a lot of mental health pieces, because number one, I said, get someone to be accountable to that you don't mind seeing those things. What those things are anything, what you wrote, what you've typed, what you've sent and seen. Have that boundary where there's at least somebody you trust to see the mistake. That's not going to kill you. They're going to walk you through it. Number two was what you're actually being willing to see. So this is that decision before type of thing. Thad, do you remember back in the day, True Love Waits? You remember that deal?
Oh, yeah.
You were in the church. Do you remember True
That
Love
was the
Waits?
thing.
You weren't in church. Kellen was in the bar just cranking it. But while Kellen was in the bar cranking it, Thad, me and you were at True Love Waits service. And what True Love Waits was...
Sounds like a really engaging thing for a man, by the way.
Hey,
it's a terrible name.
It kept all the out-of-wedlock babies down about 12% in that time period, so it worked.
For the guys
Clearly,
that
it didn't
get to show
work
up.
later in life because...
Sounds like a church function name.
It is. True Love Waits.
Because you're about
it's
to
just like-
be putting clothes on a kindergartner at 45.
Hey,
Yeah, it worked.
vasectomy. So
He was outside the 13%.
well, what True Love Waits was at its core was a good idea.
Yeah.
And then Christians make it weird, like when they try to take other people's logos and then they make the shirt. Like I picture right now, like a Pepsi logo, and it says God Can. It's like, come on, guys. We don't need to do that. Just put God Can on there. You don't need the Pepsi logo. But True Love Waits at its core was a decent idea, because what it said is, I'm going to decide now, while I'm not going up your shirt, that I'm not going to have sex with you. And I think that's cool, because not that it worked every single time, but it made you think. It made that 15-year-old boy think. It made that 15 or 16-year-old girl think, okay, if I can decide beforehand, maybe I won't get myself in a position. So number two for me was make a decision now. Don't follow her was kind of the little cliche thing I went with, but you guys know what I mean. Don't follow her.
So he listened during the seminar.
I didn't do all of it. I didn't do all of it,
So
boys.
He listened. He did not apply.
Yeah,
He
but,
listened.
when
He
you
did
come to
not
a
apply
seminar,
every
like,
time.
with that kind of, I just church names. I gotta give them heck, because if you're going to cater to men, but when you are talking about men,
We were teenagers, though.
but bringing together a culture, so you brought together a culture, and you predetermined important areas of life, and that's why men still, the ironic
The decision,
thing.
I'm not going to do that.
When we pull our head out of our butt and get healthy, we end up all doing. Thad, you have kids too. is we honor kind of the boundaries that we put in place for our kids and the standards we put in place for our kids. If we're going to bed whenever we want, we're drinking whatever we want, we're eating whatever we want, we're not scheduled, we're not physically active. Like the things that we want our kids to do still play for adults, but we need other people to kind of watch the outliers and know us well enough, like you and I, that if something gets off long enough, hey, that's out of character for you.
Yeah.
You said you were committed to this, like what's happening. Those are the signs of burnout.
You've gotten lazy somewhere.
Well, even the lust thing. Like, okay, you can have a problem, but when you start indulging all the time, is it really a lust problem, or can you not battle right now because you're so exhausted? Let's have a beer with Thad on like a Friday, but I go home and I'm like, man, it was a hard day. I start having a beer every day. Is it the beer problem, or am I running on burnout and I don't have any steam to fight anything in my will?
You're not standing up anymore.
Feel good.
Yeah.
And so when we notice those things, because we so often, and you brought up a great point, if you have people in your life, they need to know you. Don't beat the crap out of somebody about the action. We're protecting the heart, and we're protecting the future, and also what the person's capable of. More often than not, something has happened that's hard to deal with mentally, physically, or spiritually, or you're just run down and you haven't taken care of yourself.
The cool thing about these subjects, dude, and you know, I've had a lot of comments lately about the things that kind of we're saying or will say, is we're not speaking from a place of not knowing about it. We're just not afraid to say, yeah, I've messed this up before. We're not trying to hammer the guy drinking the beer. We're trying to find out why he's drinking the beer.
I saw
every day, or what? Not just a beer, but you know what I mean. If he's addicted to this daily motion,
or binging, or like isolating more than often, or curt when he's not supposed to be. I saw a really good video the other day. So car dashboard. You know, you have the check engine light or the oil light, right?
I thought you were about to say Kardashian. I was like, dude, what?
I was like,
it was
invalid.
predictive text for me. I was like,
invalid.
he's about to say Kardashian.
Invalid.
So you have a dashboard of a car.
Yes, and you got your check engine lights.
Yeah, and somebody was
stuff
taking,
like that.
every time one popped up, they took a Sharpie and was just like drawing over it so it didn't exist anymore.
Wow.
And so as men, we need to know what those are for us. But the problem with our habits and the things that we've been called to do, depending on culture, depending on our background, you know what we do more often than not, that shove down motion. And that's why you need people that know us well, is we'll take that damn Sharpie and cover over the problem until we explode or isolate.
Right.
Or we're just trying to hide it. I mean, when I said don't follow her, dude, I got hammered on it the other day too, man. The messages I had you chimed in on one of the comments, which was perfect. It was right on time, because what I meant when I said don't follow her was kind of like, I like to use attention grabbers. Clearly, that was the goal. But there was also a point. Don't follow her. Yeah, there's a culture of women right now that think that they're wearing their underwear to the gym or something similar to it, and they're doing it for them, and it's fine, and the guy shouldn't even be looking at me. And I'm like, that's nonsense. If you're so weak that's your approach. If you would just look at me and say, I know it looks pretty hot and I like the attention, okay. I'd just say, okay, I respect that. I disagree, because it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me to see you that way. It's a challenge to see people I know that way. It's a challenge for the guys I know to see you that way. But if you at least have enough like honesty and connection with yourself to just tell me what you're doing, I'm good with it. What I can't stand is the people that are like, that's not what it is, and I'm trying to work on my confidence and I'm wanting results. Do that at home, man. You need to post a picture for 90% strangers on your Facebook for that. Send your girlfriends the pic. I got no problem with that. Take the progress pics. It's not the freaking progress pics. It's the sports bra and the like 2-inch long undie pants.
Well, the insecurity, because it's an insecurity, turns into an identity, that competition for women. The hard thing that women have, the young women, for the most part that I've met that do that, have a hard time understanding, is it doesn't really matter what you think about the guys and who you're attracting. You're attracting a certain kind of guy. And then you're bent out of shape and upset when they don't take care of you. You're not wearing those things or caking on makeup or competing and wearing something that absolutely stands out in the crowd every single time. The guy that you're going to attract is immature and short term. He's talking to 5 or 6 women, and that's just what you're attracting. And women don't like to hear it, but in a guy's frame, we all sit around in a circle, and that's what I commented. It's the truth. Like,
we're just trying to tell you.
But we're like, if you can't put something on that looks classy or businesslike, and you're put together, right, and not over makeup, guys can tell how you feel about yourself.
Well, and we're not
whether attracted to it or not.
I mean, when it comes down to the gym clothes, I get it. Gym clothes are going to be a little bit different.
I don't. Like, they're up their butt cheeks now. It's weird.
Well, what I mean by that is I understand what gym clothes can be fine.
Yeah.
They're still already, and this is what I was trying to tell someone the other day, the ones that are okay are still already tipping the scales a little bit for men that can't not look. So what I was trying to explain to someone the other day is, look, if you can't hear me, a guy that's trying to tell you what men think, like, I'm not mad at you. This wasn't a person in my life that I would be positioned around jealousy or any. It's none of my business. It was a very, like, neutral. I was trying to say, I'm trying to give you an honest opinion from a guy this gym's full of. I'm just the one telling you. I don't want to sleep with you. And this person honestly telling you boys here, and I guess everyone else, not super attractive. So this wasn't a weakness for me to be like, oh, I'm just saying, hey, what you're doing is reflective of something else. And you're going to get attention because dudes are ready. 11:45 on a Friday night, things are kind of slow. They're ready, but you're not getting a call back. And here we are again in that cycle. He's so mean. They're so mean. He didn't even call. He ghosted me. Yeah, you got your tits out at the gym, so you made the list. Now he's going to flirt, which is going to be this process of trying to, like, love bomb you, compliment you, maybe get some attention from you. And watch out, because he's not going to do this very long. There's a short window of time that the man is going to show interest in this. He's going to work this process. And if he gets you on his line, like fishing, he's going to reel it in. And all of a sudden, you're sleeping with someone. And then all of a sudden, they gone. And the tough part about this is it's not everyone's trying to do something wrong. We are human. And what I was trying to explain in that little segment that goes along with lust is it's powerful. And once you do that motion, a lot of times the reason for the ghosting is guilt and shame. We talk to men all the time, and I think, Kellen, you've gotten some similar answers is, dude, why didn't you call her back? Or what happened? Or why do you feel this way? Guilt and shame. Even the hard dudes that are just like trying to bang them all, guilt and shame.
Yeah, and that's what they fall prey to. And when we circle up, I would say two things. The first thing I would say to the female audience is, are you trying to, and you can dumb it down this easy, are you trying to attract a predator or a protector? What kind of man do you want? And even a protector, when they're run completely out of gas, this infidelity in marriages and stuff, and I dealt with that the other day with somebody, was how could I slip into this? Well, you track back the last 4 months and everything fell apart. Quit talking to his wife. Job's not going good. And he got attracted by that girl. But 4 months ago when he was healthy, he would have been like, no, that's not good. So you're still, as a woman, you're setting yourself up to attract the predatory part of a man. And so do you want that or not? And then when I sit next to a bunch of guys, I've got some that go to private gyms because their woman's been through a lot and they love their wife and they don't want her to have to worry about it. And then they're like, if I'm honest, I hate the gym. Girls have gotten in shape and they wear this little tight stuff and they just bend over it. Like, I can't stand it. Yeah. They're like,
well, your
please.
eyes like it. You're human. Yeah. What you're trying to say is, but I don't want to be I don't want to be in those handcuffs.
And what I'm literally saying is I've got a group of healthy guys that find private gyms and won't even go to public gyms because of the stuff we've started to see. They're like, I can't stand it.
Well, and to the girls listening, look, this isn't about hammering you. I know plenty of great ladies that would be at some point in time wear something like this to the gym, and maybe they are not really being as aware as they need to be. There's going to be a few. We're not trying to say all of this is bad. Dude, the guys are bad. The guys are bad. We are guys. We know. We need to clean up our act too. We're just trying to say, help us.
Well, and the guys that dress a certain way and then pull up their shirts and take pictures and take videos, they're douches. I mean, again, if you're attracting him, he's an immature douche. Like, you're not getting a man yet. People that are put together don't do the oh, look at my body, I'm obsessed with myself thing.
Yeah, and we're probably going to get like a bunch of weird like health coaches on that one, but what I think I really want both sexes to hear, men and women, is one, men, we've got to be better because we're not going to be able to change this just by talking about it. This thing's running rampant. Be better. It's going to start with you. If she's going to wear what she's going to wear, they're going to wear it. I gave you a directive. Let's make a decision. Don't follow it. And that's in every area of life, not just social. It means social, but don't follow it. Don't be in relationship with her. Don't get caught up with her because you're probably going to get hurt. And then for the ladies, look, we know most of you are not what we're talking about, but maybe there's just been moments. But what we want to do is for you women out there that kind of get what we're talking about, you need to kind of step out into that leadership role too and make it cool to wear a workout outfit that still maybe is cute for you, but it's not like something you'd see at a dang strip club.
Well, and then what you said too is your value is not, it's in your heart and what you have to give to a relationship. And God's gift is that you're beautiful. And so when you get with a guy, if you want to run off the wrong guy, don't physically hook up with him. Make him like you for the conversations, get to know you. Steve Harvey wrote a book that's great, and the wrong guy will run off. And it may suck because he seemed like he was great. He's done this to a million girls. If he leaves because he can't physically get what he wants, he's a child.
Well, and we're talking about this because, and they can make all the comments they want. Yeah, we've done this before. Yeah. I certainly have. I know that it's actually a stumbling block massively for certain personality styles too. Not to blame anything else, but certain personalities, super social, extroverted people, we're going to get caught up in nonsense. And by the time we realize we're in the nonsense, we're already past the decision-making process. We're already making them. And one more drink or one more whatever. And so I think my point is most of the time when we start to get in a weird subject, it's because we've done it. I've done it.
And I like your take. You know, we can do a different one on complete burnout. But so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the Bible is a great stance. Is a king wants to become a god and says bow down, but they predetermined that their God's their God. And so in a much lighter reference, if I predetermine I'm not going to follow certain people on social, if I predetermine I'm not going to follow a chick around a gym, even if I feel weak, because there are times where we will be unaware that we are exhausted.
If she's hot, go the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I make some of those decisions in all areas of life, when I hit burnout, I'm more successful because I know how to react and somebody else has my back on that. For men too, the second area is always like, who's mature around you? Who are you putting in your life that can handle these conversations, that wants to have them because they want the best for you? They want you to chase your vision. They want you to grow. They want you in a relationship that's successful. They want you to eventually have kids or be there for your kids. Either way. And then are you sharing these things with them? Hey, these are the things I want in place for my life, or what did you put in place for your life?
So who's providing a place of, like, filling? Like, I'm thinking more of, like, in the food sense, but who's providing a place of filling and a place of rest in your life? That are dudes that are mature. That's kind of what you're getting at, is we just need people who can provide a place of rest, because let's be honest, the world is the world. It really is. It's spinning
we're talking
faster
about
and faster every day.
We're talking about resources, and actually I'll give it to this wasn't my idea, but I already kind of did this. I wouldn't even say it for this. It was for this reason. There was just some songs lately that I've really been into that are praise and worship songs, and I've just been listening to them because it's right there. But I'll throw some kudo Cole's way. My buddy Cole Taylor, I don't know if you guys know who Cole is. He's got some really good content. He's a health business coach, has a lot of good process. But he says the other day, you know how much harder it is to take your eyes off the road at the gym if you're listening to praise and worship music?
Yeah.
And he was kind of making a little point that he's riding the machine up there, but if you're listening to praise and worship music, it's a lot harder to be weird. Not saying it's impossible, but to go along with what you're saying, Thad, as a filler, if you're doing things, which is super hard to do, but you got to make it a habit. If you're doing things to get kind of enriched in your spirit, your heart, and your mind, it's that much harder to do these things. And so one way to combat just that attack it's predetermined, it's coming, is to be filling yourself with things that are going to make it feel weird to do it. Our last resource, our last nugget, Kellen, that day to kind of lust was use technology as a benefit. You introduced me to a phone app that I'm actually putting on a Legends phone tonight. And it's not because I necessarily think that it's a problem, but it's a pre-thing. We don't even have to deal with it.
Accountable to you, and it's healthy. It's just accountability in an area of life of purity.
It's called X block, right?
And so there's X block, and that filters out images, and then there's a good reporting. So especially for iPhone, because not everything reports on everything on iPhone, it's called accountable to you. And what I like about it too is, other than just inappropriate images, like if you're binging 2 hours on a social media platform, it'll show it. Like, why are you spending 3 hours a day on whatever the platform
X block, TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh. X block. I think I was. So when you originally gave it to me, when you originally gave me X block, I loaded it, but I didn't hit something right in the settings, and it was never doing anything, which I didn't have like issues to figure out wasn't. Well, the other day when I made this post, I went to it and I'm like, it's not doing anything. So I wanted to confirm that I had the right thing. But what it will do, Thad, is if you set it up right, I think it's a small paid subscription to do this, but it's nothing. If you'll pay for whatever, the $2.99, I think you can actually set it to where it will not let you into something without a code that your accountability partner
your
gets.
person.
So it's going to be someone trustworthy. And sometimes these apps, the way they're built, is they're going to block out something that it's not a problem for you to see, but there's something in the coding that makes it block it. Call your accountability partner and say, hey, I'm actually trying to get into this thing for work. It's actually not what it says it is. It's just on YouTube or whatever. And they'll give you the code. That's a trusting relationship. But I had a guy tell me that he goes, oh, that's a bunch of nonsense as an adult. And I'm like, is it though? If you're trying to protect yourself from something, you can't miss a couple of things to do that. Right. I mean, he's like, it just sounds like a lot of work. It is.
Person sounds like he doesn't want to do it.
Well, it is a lot of work. So is not having a beer every night if that's what you really want to do when you're tired. And
so is not just going to the gym for an hour, not eating the wrong thing for 23 hours. Like, everything worthwhile in the long term is work. Everything that you do in the short term that's toxic will be work later. You can either be super toxic and unhealthy later, or do the work now and be healthy later.
I just want to make sure, though, that when you say the wrong thing for 23 hours, you're never referring to Celsius.
Did you notice how he turned the label a minute ago? It's super weird. I think he wants to get sponsored eventually.
He definitely wants to get sponsored.
He wants to reach one person on the podcast, but if Celsius will sponsor
pallets
him.
of Celsius just delivered.
Thad, what'd you say about the
get mad at
Major
Chuck.
League Sports about Celsius?
Yeah,
they said it's like Coke or something.
They're saying it's flagging for cocaine.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'll share you both the link. It's the craziest stuff. But going back,
Bryan's jaw hasn't gone back.
I am sweating my behind off over here. I hit that alpha lion, and I'm over here just wringing out sweat.
And that's what happens if you take certain areas of life and you don't discipline now. You just have all these vices to try to compensate.
I did it on purpose. I wanted to be using it as an example. You know, like when you go to church and the pastor has like a visual. That's what I wanted to do for you guys today. I wanted you to be able to. Some people need to see stuff to learn it.
And going back to the gym thing, just thinking about this. When I go to the gym, I'm 90% of the time like listening to a book or a podcast that I'm like actually learning something from. So whether that's like history, whether that's like I just read this hospitality book, which was amazing, super good.
Have you been into Atomic Habits?
Yeah.
So the anchoring those.
So, but like those things, it's like cool. I don't even care what I'm looking like. I barely care who's here. I'm really here so I can have 40 minutes to myself to listen to this book and to work out. And I could care less.
Kid season.
I care less about what else is going on, but like I'm like learning stuff as I'm going through. And I think if you can learn something as you're working out mentally, you can immediately check out of.
You want to hear something
crazy?
Stuff. You know, your eyes connect to your brain.
I think it's about what are you going for? What is your purpose?
But
why are you going to the gym?
Yeah, well, but like when we talk about men, the inputs, like we're talking about what you listen to, but also your eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of wired into part. Yeah,
and the guy's like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "Because it's a part of your brain, and you're feeding it nonsense. And the more you feed it, the more numb it becomes to the nonsense, and the bigger the nonsense gets." It's back to the Adam Sandler thing. Like the stuff in the song is pretty bad, but compared to what they want to make normal now, it's a cakewalk. And that's where they've moved the needle on the standards of being a freaking adult.
Well, think about, you just said the eyes connected to the brain, Kellen. I think about, like I said earlier, I don't think everyone's just inherently wanting to make a bad decision, but if your eyes are wired up to your brain, the decision-making processor, and you see something, before you even have a opportunity to make a mature decision, your eyes have already told you what you like, and you see it. That's what, that's the wandering eye. That's the whole concept behind that is, now you may reel that in and figure it out, but that's why if you got to try to make predetermined decisions, maybe you can avoid your body beating you.
Well, and you can't argue with science. They've proven that negative images and pornography change the mapping of your brain.
You keep them for a long
So
time.
you can say, hey, this doesn't bother me at all. And cool, you can tell yourself all the lies that you want. It doesn't make it the truth. The other thing is,
It's a real thing.
I'm the whole Christian music thing. I came back from Brazil with Sean, and he's like, hey, what are you listening to? And I was doing some pull-ups, and I was getting into them, and I'm like, you don't want to know. And it was a female Christian artist.
Our live's saying something weird, but
Probably
go ahead,
because you
Christian
said
music.
Tic Tac.
I'm on.
Well, but
Live
on the music
restricted for
setup,
some audiences.
I've talked to a lot of people about this. I'm like, hey, what are the words
That's what it says.
What does it say?
Live restricted for some audiences.
for some audiences?
Okay.
I don't know what audiences are
Somebody said
restricted.
tits.
Yeah, you
Somebody
said,
said tits.
There will filter it out.
yeah, you said something bad. It's okay. You're now.
All right,
you're
so
not in
back
you're
to
not
the
in
Christian
children's
music
section.
at the gym. Back to
No,
Christian music
but
at the gym.
Music,
You're listening to chick.
music in general. So I had somebody ask, and I was listening to, I think, like Lauren Daigle or something doing push-ups or in pull-ups. So I'm literally just, that's what I love to listen to, and I've
Right.
gotten into it. However, I listen to the words. I don't necessarily listen to the rhythm. Most people, I go, well, what are you listening to? I said, well, what are the words? And they start, because now your phone will like play them, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, you've been putting this nonsense in your head, and you don't even know what it actually says.
Yeah, my brother listens to reggae while he works out, which is like kind of wild because it's just like
Reggae?
it's all about like vibes. Like, and he, my brother's very much a vibes dude, but he's like, yeah, let's just like vibe out to some reggae, and he's like, it's great because my mind doesn't have to like. I don't filter anything out. Like I don't have to filter words out.
But back to
or
what
anything
you
like
said,
that,
it can even
which
be
is
healthy
awesome.
audiobooks. I would challenge anybody if you just go, hey, whatever, I'll just put healthy stuff in and
Yeah.
guard my eyes for 30 days. You'll be a different person.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what'll start changing everything for you, because then you'll jump out of this excuse that everybody does it and I enjoy it and it's not affecting me, because you actually see a difference in yourself.
Well, and I was looking back at your text you sent earlier, and I wanted to kind of just read this because I think it's a good question to ask. You were asking me kind of in a rhetorical way, but what if the thing you're most ashamed of to say out loud, what is it? That's something to think about. Can you say it? Do you have someone in your life you can say it to? Because I start to think this way, dude. If you're doing things or seeing things you're not supposed to and no one's ever going to know. I had a weird thought the other day, by the way. Now that my mom passed away, and this is going to get weird, but do you know how much harder it is to do something you're not supposed to do if you feel like
Think your mom's
your
watching
mom
you?
can kind of see that?
Oh.
The freaking light off in the closet doesn't change it, dude. Because she can still see that. She can still see it. So, I mean, it sounds silly, but I start to think about whatever you got to do to try to fight this thing. Lust has got to be one of the strongest addictions out there. And why I say strongest addictions is because while other addictions are very powerful, there's quite a bit of resource and help if you want it.
Well, the Bible, I think we said this in another one. Scripture literally says, like, hey, if the devil comes at you, here's the armor, here's the word, stand firm. If a Jezebel spirit, so if a sexual spirit and a dominating spirit comes at you, run the other way. Like, we were created that way, and that's from the Creator, right? So we're created a certain way, and we were created to get married and be able to have this beautiful connection physically and emotionally. And what it does is it strips all the emotional connection and leaves everything physical and hollow.
Well, and alcohol, it sounds totally different to me.
Yes, alcohol makes everything different too.
If someone was to say, I have a drinking problem, that's just still easier to say than I have a porn problem. There's so much shame associated with it.
Yeah.
That's
Taboo.
why I think that's the hardest if not the hardest addiction is lust, because not only is it very powerful, it's really hard to get help for it. If you're done drinking, you're willing to kind of eat a little humble pie and go to the meetings and stuff, which I think is awesome and encouraged, because they've proven to help people make changes. But man, it's so much different to be like, I got a porn problem.
Well, when drinking gets really bad too, you can get in a shame cycle. But the pornography eats your lunch, and I talk about this with guys all the time. You know, one of the beginning ways to start addressing this is say it. So get it into the light where you're not hiding something you know is wrong, and it's totally freeing.
And now we know to ask each other.
Yeah, and everybody else will be like, yeah, I want you free of that too because you have something awesome to do. Do what you're gifted and talented to do and take your focus off of it. Because once you mess up or watch porn or whatever else you do as you're watching porn, right, the next step is you feel shame. And then you think about not watching porn. So in reality, it has your total attention all the time because of shame. And so if we can get back to doing what we were created to do, bring some accountability in, and then like you and I talked about, hey, how'd you get a hold of it? Like, where'd you watch it on this? Well, what if you couldn't? Like you have to.
What can we change when we're going to remove the shame and just have an adult conversation about, yeah, dude, I've had that struggle before too. Every once in a while, it creaks its head in the door. Here's what we got to do. Now we can fight it together. The second part of what you said is, you know, when he says, if you could say out loud what it was, now what you're saying is that God wants to use that to set you and others free. So what that's saying is the Father wants to take your weakness, the thing that's grabbing you, attacking you, and putting you in chains, and he wants to use that very thing to bring you that freedom.
Yeah.
The problem with getting freedom is how can you get free from the hidden thing?
Well, here's the deal. You expose it. And when we get 100 guys in a room, it's a beautiful thing because what we'll do is break that justification. The lie from the enemy with your thing that's secret is you're the only one dealing with it. And we get 100 dudes to step forward that are all dealing with it, like 20 of them, and we go, you're not alone. They're like, oh my, it breaks the lie that they were hearing. And every single time, you know what we hear? Like, they're going to think this about me, or I'm the only one dealing with it. And so what else you realize is once you submit that and then get some freedom, you know how many other people are just jacked up on the same thing that need freedom? And so now, like, here's what I was saying earlier that we need to talk about when we address burnout and healthy action. Hurt people, right?
Right.
Most people know to say that. Well, healed people help hurt people. And so if I can take the area where I get freedom, but I have wisdom in that area, and I can sit with somebody else, dude, not only can I help them get better, but I actually understand every area and what they're feeling. Like, I really get what they're going through. And that means the world to the person going through it. Yeah, it's great to have somebody that can help, but it's even better to have somebody willing to help that knows exactly how you feel.
It does make it better, dude, when you say that too. You know, when you start to talk about something you're struggling with mightily, you're going to get vulnerable to share it. You know, if you've cheated, if you've seen something you shouldn't, if you're addicted to something, having someone to share it with that can identify with it and relate to it does make it easier. And that's why we're doing this. We're not sitting up here going, hey, never seen any porn, never done any of the cheating stuff, and I definitely wouldn't do this or that, but let me talk to you about it. Yeah, I don't know about that. We're trying to tell you guys, yeah,
we've been in the mud.
Done it.
Been in the mud.
You know, someone said it the other day, and it was what's his name? Hormonzi, his wife.
Alex.
Hormonzi.
I couldn't
I need to look it up
name
because I don't want to disrespect his name. It's just hard to say.
Definitely wasn't Kevin.
Definitely wasn't Kevin.
They share quality stuff, but what his wife was trying to say is, hey, no offense to the single person, but married people don't really want advice from single people. And I think
Or
what
Mosey.
she's
Like people that don't have kids.
well,
Yeah.
what
Or
she's
Mosey.
trying to say is it's
You
not
should
that
just tell your kid to
maybe.
be quiet.
Well, she's probably not saying that. Hey, you're not having quality advice. She's just trying to say the advice also needs to be filled and backed up with experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and
what
what
she's
you're
trying
saying
to
when you
say.
can relate to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can relate.
It becomes an area of freedom you can give other people when you sit with them. It also creates capacity. Brian, you and I talk about capacity. You know what sucks is being surrounded by people that are just your buddies that drink and watch sports and don't want to
Right.
talk about anything. Then all of a sudden your mom gets sick. And you're like, I can't tell them because they check out every time you talk about something serious.
Yeah.
And so Thad, back to the people you were talking about, your age or older, but somebody with actual capacity that cares about the deep conversations. Like, man, I'm here for you. Like, what are you feeling? Or I'll just sit with you while you're dealing with this.
Yeah, it actually cares about you. And I mean, there's a lot of spiritual good about like having people that feed you and having people that like make you feel rested, and like makes you think of like Elijah And like God was literally like, "You're burnt out.
Yeah.
Go like take a rest. And, like
It's
have a
gnarly.
snack. Have a snack, bro."
snack.
Like and like I think about I come from life right now as like a dad of littles. I have he'll be 4 on Saturday, and then a 1-year-old, and it's like, man, if they haven't eaten in a while and they're like tired, they're like little demons. But like, if you give them some food and like give them a chance to like rest their body from just like going, it's like a whole new human being. And you're like, and the thing is, men have to be better at that too. Like we can't just run hard all the time, break through all the walls, chase all the bears, do all the stuff without like having a snack and taking a little rest. Like it's okay to like have a snack and rest. And I see Bryan a lot in the office. Dude's like 3:00 eating lunch. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like why are we at 3:00 eating lunch? Like eat lunch with me at like noon. Like come.
Notice the pattern changes too. You made a really good point. What we talk about as a visual on that is like your smartphone can do a lot, right?
Oh yeah.
Leave it away from a charger for 2 days.
Yeah.
Now it's a paperweight, right?
No,
I don't care what it was capable of. It's run out, and before it runs out, it starts acting up. Like nothing will load fast. It's not connecting well, right? Yeah. And so men do the same thing. So if we have the safe people close to us, like you're recognizing in Bryan, like, hey, when did you start eating at 3? Like we notice those signs before we get to burnout. But scripturally, you're right. It's awesome. If you read about Elijah, there's all these prophets of a different God, and he calls them all down, hundreds of them, mocks them, pours water on something, calls fire down from God. It happens. They're all executed. Takes care of the king, and the queen says, "I'm gonna have your head," and he runs off like a girl, like scared, tucks his tail and runs.
1 Kings 19. If you want to go look that up, it's pretty cool.
But you're like, man, you just did all this against basically an army, right? And then one person says one thing, and you run away. What was it? You ran completely out, and the response from God, somebody that knew something was wrong, wasn't to get onto him. He literally said, "Yeah, I need you to nap and eat.
He was like,
need a snack."
He's like, go sit under this tree, take a rest, and then he was like, get up, eat something, and then I had a little. It said flatbread, which I'm down for flatbread anytime. Like, go ahead, 2 a.m., bro. Yeah, catch me on the flatbread. But yeah, like eat something, and like have people in your life that like provide rest, provide spiritual food to you when you can't provide it yourself is important. So it's like having those safe human beings that like are deeply invested, they do care about you, and they can push the cart when you can't push it no more.
So what do you do if you have none of those people?
Come talk to us.
Yeah, you need to find some people.
Come hang out with us.
Mm-hmm. You need to learn how to ask the right questions.
If you don't have nobody, just like come hang out with us. We'll push the cart while you're in the cart for a little while. And then you've rested, had a little snack, and then you can push your cart again.
Because the truth is, life happens. So I had a young man, crazy breakthroughs, doing great, and then I got a call a week ago, and he went cliff diving with a buddy, and the buddy got pulled under undertow, and he went down and couldn't get him. So this 22-year-old watched his best friend drown, and he was the one that couldn't save him. And so if you're that guy and life actually happens, you talked about somebody else that just lost a son. So if you go through that kind of stuff and the people in your life is nobody, or people that will only talk about sports and check out anytime something gets hard, you're in deep water already. And so get around people with some capacity that are going to champion you, and they're going to sit and listen to the hard stuff.
Just so we're clear, mental health is real this month. We've already lost one out of our 95 class to himself.
Well, that's the tragedy, right? Is we isolate. And then we got to really pay attention to, man, life's just hard. I wish I could just check out. Those little light statements need to always be taken serious. And if I know the person well enough, what I can do is go, hey, did Bryan start eating at 3 o'clock for like a week? Has he gotten quiet? Has he got a short fuse? Like the first thing I need to do is shove a snack in his face, but then I need to really check on him. Like it could be something serious.
Well, and just provide him a place where he can feel comfortable enough to let his guard down and rest.
Yeah.
And like, that's hard sometimes when, dudes hard charge. we put the sword in the hand and we get on the stallion and we ride. And it's like we ride at dawn, but we ride till the next dawn and to the next dawn. And like we don't slow down enough to go, man, I really need like some people in my life to just say, come over. Like I'll cook dinner tonight.
Right.
I'll hang out. Like I'll make sure like the kids have either something to do, like is taken care of or whatever. And like when you find those people that are like, you know, you need some time to just rest. Like, hold on to those people.
I'd also say too, like keeping yourself healthy and resting.
Yeah.
Is also the smallest thing you can do. Is like say I'm going to charge, right?
Yeah.
But before I do, you ride the horse in front of everybody and look them in the eye and tell them what they're great at.
Yeah.
We have encouraging somebody can fill up their tank for days when they're in the lowest spot because nobody's noticed.
Right.
And so if we can at least slow down long enough to encourage the people with their actual gifts around us because we paid attention, we can change a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm an encourager. That's like my spiritual gift. Cool. If you want to know about more about spiritual gifts, Battle Creek Church, we're doing a big series on that. But that's like my thing is like, I consider myself a morale employee. I will work hard all the time, but I'll also like walk over to somebody's desk and be like, hey man, is everything all right? Are you doing okay? Like, I know your mom, passed, and how are you doing with that? Like, because a lot of people just don't have an ear to talk to. And so like, if you're finding yourself in a position where you feel like you're in a healthy spot, but you aren't bringing others with you, step off your pedestal and
Just
help
down
somebody
a little
else
bit.
out,
Yeah.
like to get healthy again.
I was just reading through my notes and I was thinking, man, I really want to be able to interject something that can help, but we've talked about them. I mean, we've been mixing them in. The biggest way, go back to men's mental health.
Yeah.
We've named a couple of steps already that would be key. If you're suffering, you got to talk about it.
You got to talk about it.
Now, we're going to try to, if you come to us, we're going to try to get you to someone professional, but it's likely going to start with someone that's not. Just someone that can be there for you, someone that's going to answer the phone, someone that's going to answer the text message, or be able to pull away in a kind of an emergency situation to walk with you up into that next step, which is where you need to get help. Mental health is nothing to play with. I lived in a situation where my dad, man, we didn't know. I mean, I didn't. Maybe my mom knew, but at a young age, the doctors called it a chemical imbalance, and they did all kinds of procedures and processes to try to help him. One of those things was shock treatments, dude. Shock treatments are crazy, and that's something they used to do just 25 years ago for this subject. And the reason why they did it, and I think they do all this stuff, is while they've made a lot of gains in that arena of healthcare, there is a lot of unknown.
Oh, for sure.
Why?
For
What's
sure.
happening? What cracked? What did it? And for my dad, someone that was just trying to be real with my mom, said, look, this likely started as a young child, the trauma that he went through that had to do with mom and dad, the changes of things, their lifestyle, and then all of a sudden he was trying to change his life, and the way he's going to change his life is he goes to a church camp he'd never been to with the kids that were more well off and meets a pastor's daughter, and then all of a sudden he's going to get in a relationship and marry a pastor's daughter and try to shift his life and change it just with that.
Sure.
Never gets help.
That happens a lot.
And he just blends in. And the way my mom would explain it now, until she died the other day, was he would just blend in. He would try to blend in with the surroundings that he thought made my mom happy in the zone and the world that she wanted to live in. Well, then years go by. Well, then you find out he's made some mistakes. He messed up big early in the marriage, and he had issues and addictions. And the crazy thing is my parents had a couple of friends, but the difference was this. They didn't talk about stuff. They were friends, and they got together for potlucks and lunches for church and dinners before Wednesday nights. They did these things, but there was never any real talk. There was never any, hey, dude, are you cheating? Something feels weird here. You've been acting weird. It feels like something's off. and be able to do that with a attitude of, but I want to help you with that. They didn't do any of that. So then my dad lives all these years in this bad behavior zone, trying to fit in, never trying to talk about it. Well, then his mom died. It wasn't a couple of weeks after his mom died, he just crashed, like the world's name, the quasi midlife crisis thing. And all of a sudden, the counselor starts to walk it back with my mom a little bit and says, you know what I really think happened is all the things that he had, he was just right on the edge. Mm-hmm. And when that one big one happened, it just broke.
Everything was already fractured.
I mean, he was just hard charging. He was just hard charging and trying so hard to be accepted that it was like, I can't get help. I can't do this because, Bryan, in that age, there was a lot of taboo about talking to people. With my generation, there is not that much taboo with it. It is like, I told my therapist all my stuff last week, but like your generation, some of them is like, I don't know. I don't know if I can tell anybody that, but my generation, a lot of people, I mean, it's like, I told my therapy like all my struggles last week, and that's just what it was. And it's like,
I think the hard thing there too, Thad, is like either way you're fractured.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm running to a therapist only, they're great, but I'm still fractured because I'm running to somebody so that they can fix me.
Right.
When you have fractures in your life, but there's nothing wrong with your identity and who you are.
Right.
And culturally, they're trying to attack that now, right?
Yeah.
But they tried to attack our voice and actually knowing we needed help before. But it all comes back, and Bryan, you talked about this last time, but to the Father. And in culture, it's really, I think it's hilarious that the cultural stigma is God is like this or God is like that. Doesn't line up with his word, but nobody's willing to read it. When they read it, they pick the part they want and start with something they don't understand and make it a truth. When he literally says, I designed you, I love you, I want you close. And I was looking at, Psalm, and this is a big one in the church, but Psalm 23, 1-3, the Lord's my shepherd, I lack nothing. If it flows from him, I'm not in lack because he's the creator.
You're not in need.
And
you're not in need.
I'm not in need. It makes me lie down in green pastures, leaves me behind quiet waters. He restores my soul. And, what we fail to realize when it all comes crashing down, one, we can't put all of our need on another human because that wasn't what they were created for. And they also, with what they have going on in their life, can't just fix mine. But he can give us direction and restore things far deeper than we knew we even had. Mm-hmm. And so that relationship's going to reveal also where we really need to be filled up, where the fractures really are. And over time, it's going to heal it. And then we can go to people with that and actually get a direction from it. But if, I would say to anybody that's listening, especially with social media and all the garbage that's going on in a million different directions, you can just put a foot outside all that and just sit down and find out for yourself.
You can touch grass. If you need to, you can really touch grass. Yeah. And sometimes people just need to touch grass, have a rest, have a snack as well.
But ask yourself if it's a nice day and you take your shoes off and you put your feet on the grass, or if you get in a boat and you drift out on the lake, everything created by a creator, why is that so peaceful? Why does it feel so right? And then jump into Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, start in the New Testament, and just read about the teachings of God. Right. God himself put in flesh. And you're like, that's crazy. Well, it's God. He can kind of do what he wants. But just trust us and start there and go to Psalms and read some of the Psalms. And you're going to find peace. And you're going to find some real depth and freedom for your actual journey versus we talked about a magic marker, but how crazy is it if I rip my side view mirror off and I duct tape it on, right? It's not going to last long. We've got to quit trying to, in the
don't Band-Aid
thing,
stuff.
We can't repair what needs to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
And God will do an incredible rebuilding if you'll find him.
Yeah. I think we need to probably wrap up there. That's like a great word to end on.
We're going to have links for X-Block shared with Tiffany so that you can have that resource. Per usual, we'll probably still have the links for Messenger X in there because I still think Messenger X is a really good, simple tool.
Yeah.
It's just easy, simple. You can create routine around it and use it to kind of maybe inject you into the next thing you need to be doing, which is maybe a little more time in the Word, which is hard. I get it. I struggle with that too. But if you can get something that can get you going, and you said it the other day, Thad, or the other day a while ago, is you're trying to learn something. If you can start to frame this thing up to where you're actually trying to learn something and get something from it, it might change the level of like, this is boring. Well, not if you're
actively trying to learn.
Yeah, if you can get into it.
Actively trying to learn something, it's usually not incredibly boring. But
we'll have those resources there.
Brains.
As usual, we need you to like and share and comment, give us feedback on this stuff.
Subscribe.
Comments are going to be on the page. I mean, the comments and the links are going to be on the page.
Especially talk about Bryan's Celsius addiction.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Everything's fine with Celsius.
MLB.
And provisions from Chuck Norris. He's amazing. He's like 150 years old. Clearly doing something right. The other day, and I got to end with this one. It was so freaking funny. They said it was Chuck Norris drove his pregnant mother to the hospital to have him. I was like, what? Or like the one when Chuck Norris does push-ups, the earth goes down.
Yeah.
They're hilarious. There's a million of them. So anyways, give us 5 stars. We'd love to have it. We appreciate everybody. And don't forget to
Get canceled.
Get canceled.